Welcome back to McCarthy Performance. Today we will be prepping the 360 Magnum engine. We're wire wheeling around the frost plug holes. We're breaking any sharp edges lightly. We're not trying to remove any machine surfaces from the factory, but we are breaking the edges with the file. And then we will be taking a stone and just lightly sanding these just to get the edges and ridges off of them. After you break it with a file, you usually sometimes will have another edge on it. When the factory machines these, they're not, you know, taking very good care. They just machine them and put them together. When you take them apart, they'll have an edge on it. Like this one here's got quite an edge on it. We want to break them off. We don't want them anything falling into the oil, into the engine as we assemble it and as it's running down the road. So you don't want to file on the registers. You don't want to touch that. But we are going to sand it. But we're not. Again, I'll repeat. We're not trying to change or alter any dimension here. You can do that with abrasives and a wheel if you're not careful. But normally, if you do it lightly, you're not going to do much damage. So I've got a stone here, and we're just going to take it. We're going to run it across there a couple times. We're not trying to change anything. We're just holding it flat. We're breaking the edges. There's a couple sharp edges here. We'll hit it there. We'll check it. This one needs a little bit more. We're going to do the edge of the bearing housings. We're going to break that a little bit because that keeps the bearing from shaving when you push it in. So I usually try to crisscross. We're just trying to scrub some of anything that's embedded into the cap that maybe was there when they put it together the first time, burrs, debris, anything like that. We just want to knock it clean. And of course, if there's rust on it and it's heavy and the caps were off of the engine, then you're probably looking at something totally different. But this is a good running engine. There's no need to try to remachine the engine with a 3M scrub wheel, Scotch wheel. You don't want any of that stuff. A wire wheel works good. The little 3M discs, you got to be really careful with them. They will destroy the block. Everybody's in a hurry to do everything nowadays. And if you can find a tool that'll do it, you don't have to do it manually. It seems like that's the way everybody goes. But the problem is with that is I got the control over this quite a bit. And with a hand drill with a 3M wheel on it, you don't have much control over that. You can damage a lot of stuff, and I've fixed it. So anyways. We're pretty good there, and we'll take some sandpaper to it, just a little bit, just to break the sharp edges. Like right there, there's a real sharp edge. We want to break that. So I'll get a piece of sandpaper and we'll get going on that. Okay, I got some sandpaper here. We're just going to go around here and just break the edge. Now, when I bore a block, I chamfer the top of the bores with a chamfer cone. Now, when I'm done doing that, I go over it lightly with sandpaper. That light chamfer at the top of the bore helps the rings go into the bore a little easier. And if you've got any sharp edges where the ring goes through, you could possibly tear up the ring. So I always go over it. I always check it. Okay, this block has already been scrubbed and rinsed already. It was in the hot tank. It had been scrubbed and rinsed after it got out of the home. When I'm done with it, again, I'll scrub and rinse it. And then I'll put the cam bearings in. And then I'll run it through the jet washer and I'll scrub it with brushes through all the galleys. And then I will final wash it again. And that's kind of the normal procedure, unless obviously it's a new block. It doesn't need to be hot tanked unless it's extremely rusty. And feels pretty good. Now, this is not a race engine, this is a stock OEM rebuild, but still I like to try to make them as nice as I can in the amount of time that I have. You know, obviously I'm not going to polish the lifter valley and everything, but if there's a burr or anything hanging off, I'll knock it off. Everything goes together better usually, you know, when you don't have a bunch of crap hanging off of things. Okay, I got all the wire wheeling done that I'm going to do with the block, all the prep, and I have an MX wheel, and it's just basically a Kradex rubber impregnated grit. I've gone over and I've broke just the corners lightly in here, and I haven't tried to change any dimensions. I'll repeat that again. You know, we don't want to change any machine dimensions. What we are going to do is we're going to break the edges of these cylinder bores, and after I bore them, that's usually how I do it. Now, you can do it with an MX wheel, you can do it with a drum sander, you can do it with a flap wheel, you can do it with a Tootsie Roll, you can do it by hand. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm using the MX wheel because I have it out and it's on the grinder, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to break just this edge right here. We're going to blend it back a little bit. In previous videos, I mentioned to there's always a casting line here, and if it's really sharp, and I'll break that too, because that's a place for a stress riser, that's a place for the block to crack, and believe me, they do crack. Pontiacs will zipper right up. So this isn't bad. Some of the small block Chevrolets, sometimes they're pretty bad, so I usually like to break that loose. So we're going to break that, but I'm going to first break the edge. Okay, we're going to call that good. I've done all of them. Take it off and show you. You can see that the factory cuts a relief in them, and I just blend it back. Blend it back. So we're all set with that. Now we're going to give her another bath, and then I'll start putting the frost plugs in it, freeze plugs, expansion plugs, block plugs, whatever the hell you want to call them. That's what we're putting in, and then the cam bearings, and give her another bath and start assembling it. Couldn't get a complete set, so I had to piece the set together. It's quicker with my finger. Don't do this at home. You don't want to drive them in too far, but you want to make sure you drive them in far enough that you got them past the chamfer on the lead on the plug hole. This one we're good, this one we're good, we're good on this one. Okay, I'm going to finish up putting the cam bearings in this today. There's really no difference me putting cam bearings in a small block Chevrolet as a Mopar, as a big block, as a Ford, as an LS. You know, I've got a couple videos on how I prep the cam bearings. These are very narrow, so you don't really want to get too crazy with breaking the edges and chamfering them too heavily, but I do break them a little bit. And you know, we're just about done. And to sight these things down, because I got one eye crooked and I can't see straight out of the other one, it's kind of tricky at times. Sometimes if you want to take a marker and mark it and line it up, but you know, usually the oil hole's bigger than the feed hole, and as long as you're as long as you can see daylight through it, you'll be all right. We got to go just a little further on that. Probably there, I would say. Just a little further. That looks pretty good. When you're driving the cam bearing, you never want the tool to bounce on the cam bearing. You always want to make sure you got full pressure on it and it cannot bounce. Okay, we're all done. I didn't take a video of all this because it's pretty much impossible to take a video of me putting cam bearings in with just me here. So I keep old cams, and if I have a new cam, obviously I don't need it, but this is an old cam core, and I got the new cam, but this is in front of me and handy, so we'll see if it fits. You know, if I do an engine and I don't have the customer's cam here, I keep, you know, cores laying around that they're junk cams, but the journals are good on them, and they'll tell me if we got a problem. You never want to ship an engine out without checking to make sure the cam fits. And so far, we're looking good. So the only thing I got to do is put a soft or cam plug in the back of it. Yep, we're fine. Okay, we got all the cam bearings in. We deburred them and checked everything and put the old used cam in it just as a core, just to check it. That's probably going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Probably have a video of assembling this shortly.